Now, are drug makers again in the crosshairs as the president prepares this new plan he's set to unveil this coming week? For some perspective now, we're joined by an industry insider. Fred Hassan is the former CEO of Schering-Plough, now a senior advisor at Warburg Pincus. He comes to us from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Mr. Hassan, thank you very much for the time. I appreciate you joining us here on Taking Stock. And first of all, what do you make of this new push by the president? Is this indeed the last gasp of health care reform?
Yes, this is a very important step that the president is taking. He's been trying very hard to get healthcare reform to move forward. Perhaps everybody probably tried too hard in the beginning. We should have learned from Senator Moynihan's comments the last time the cycle happened in 93, 94. He said that you can't eat the whole apple, you have to eat it one bite at a time. And maybe everybody maybe involved might have been too ambitious initially, and the process has slowed down. But we have to keep trying to move the process forward, and I look forward to seeing the president's proposal on Monday.
Do you think it's time for the Congress, the administration, to take bite-sized approaches to this issue? Is it time to move pieces of legislation separately instead of a big comprehensive package? There are some people here in Washington say a comprehensive package will never get through given the politics involved.
I think it's better to move forward on something that's moderate and bipartisan than to keep politicizing and polarizing this issue. This issue is very important for Americans, and we need to make this our country's issue and not a political issue.
Let me ask you about the stakes for the drug industry in all this, if I could. What do you make right now, again, of the prospects of a deal, and what are the challenges that poses to the drug industry, given the negotiations that have been going on between the industry, top industry officials, and this White House over the past year or so?
The industry was among the leaders in coming forward and wanting to cooperate, and a very good discussion occurred. And because there would be more coverage, there'd be better health care for all Americans, and the industry wanted to pay its fair share as part of that whole process. Now we don't know what the new plans are going to be in terms of expanding the coverage, but I'm sure the industry will play a very positive role in this process.
Do you think that $80 billion over 10-year agreement is now, in fact, dead?
Well, it depends on how we go forward with the new healthcare reform proposal, but the industry's spirit in terms of being a very helpful partner in this process is still there, and I'm sure the industry will come through the way it did last year. We just have to see the new proposal now.
Now, let me ask you, if I could, about some of the independent specific challenges facing the industry. If there is no overall health care reform package, there's some talk up on Capitol Hill about new efforts to go after the drug industry. For example, a new push for reimportation, allowing reimportation from Canada and elsewhere. Do you think some of these, again, smaller initiatives are going to be challenges to the industry going forward?
Yeah, these ideas come up now and then. I don't think they're very good ideas because our industry is very heavily regulated. We have something called good manufacturing practices, good laboratory practices, good clinical practices, good supply chain practices. It is ridiculous to have such a tightly regulated industry and then to open the back door to unregulated imports. It doesn't make any sense. It's much more important to deal with the issues of coverage. And a lot of those issues did get dealt with when coverage was expanded for the seniors as part of the Medicare Part D legislation that occurred a few years ago, and the coverage rate for seniors went up from 60% to 90%. Now it's our duty to expand coverage to those working poor who also need expanded coverage. So let's talk about coverage, and let's not talk about hurting the regulatory framework of the industry.
I know you're not the CEO of Schering-Plough anymore, but you've been, you know what's going on here in Washington and also in the halls at some of these companies involved. Let me get your sense about how unified the big drug makers are right now. Billy Tauzin, he's been in charge of pharma. We just got the word he's going to be stepping down at the end of June. There have been some reporting that there's dissension within the ranks. Not everyone was pleased with his approach, his willingness to work with this White House. What's your take on that?
It's never easy to corral a large trade group, but Billy has been a very effective head of the association. I was part of his hiring process when he joined us. He has made a big difference. He's brought incredible energy into the trade association. The influence of the association on the Hill has gone up. Also, the reach to people beyond the Beltway has gone up. If I were to point to a couple of big accomplishments for Billy Tauzin, it's number one, he followed through on the Medicare Part D implementation phases, and he did that very well. And secondly, he moved the industry into a position where it's no longer the bad guy. And that's a huge accomplishment. So Billy has made a huge impact. He's 66 years old. He wants to move on and do some other things from here on.
Mr. Hassan, let me just ask you finally, as you look at the situation now, you've seen the political fight this president's been through, the political losses he's taken in trying to engage Americans in the health care debate. At the end of the day, has this been worthwhile, or has this been a mistake for this president? And at the end of the day, is he going to lose?
I think he needs to go forward. Healthcare is very important. The mistake that might have been made is that there was too much ambition at the beginning, and then too much politicization and too much polarization. Now the time has come for the president to make this thing moderate, make it bipartisan, and move forward and have a plan of action.
All right, Mr. Hassan, thank you very much for joining us.